Hi, angels. This episode has been brewing for quite a little while, for quite some time, all around how we manifested our dream home. But when I dive into this, you'll understand that it wasn't so much the dream home. It was the dream location. If I had looked at this house on realestate.com and just looked at the house, I would have gone, hell no, like this is not for me. But what I've discovered along the way is sometimes the universe gives you what your soul needs, and it's not what you thought you wanted, because I thought I wanted something completely different to this. But now that I've been here for a year, close to a year. Like I said, this episode has been sitting with me for a long time. Now that I've been here for a year, I'm like, this is what my soul needed on so many levels. This is what our family needed on so many levels. However, it's not what we thought that we wanted. So let me take you through. So this house has, a few of you now have kind of seen on socials. I've shared quite a number of things along the way, because I just jump on and podcast or jump on and chat with you guys in the moment to moment, when things come to me intuitively. So sometimes it's at the studio, sometimes it's at home. So, and I podcast from home, because for me, I like to just jump in and talk to you when something presents itself, when I feel I need to jump on and share. So like I'm in my lounge room, you see here, like I'm in my lounge room, and I find for me that's more aligned than going and podcasting in a studio, because I know that creative inspiration comes through in the moment. So I've learned to capture that. So many of you have probably seen where we're living now, I've shared some things along the way on my stories around like when we first moved in, what it kind of looked like, how it's progressing, the kind of reno that we've been doing. And it'll take us a little while, like it's going to take us a couple of years. And many of you've seen our view. Like our view is spectacular, like something that it just was what was in my heart and soul all along. But the house was different to what I envisaged, right? Like it was totally different. So like the kids have, Riley and Brock have been through a bit of a journey with us as well on this whole path. In this episode today, I'm going to take you through the realness, the rawness, the vulnerability, what was actually going on through our minds at the time. And it wasn't all roses. Like people think, okay, people put out on social media like how I manifested my dream home, right? And they, you see this kind of like beautiful big mansion or this fancy looking house, and they make it seem effortless. Like I thought about it and it just came, like it gets to be that easy. And yes, it does get to be that easy, but there's always a journey along the way. You don't always get to see the nitty gritty, the behind the scenes, the processes, the trials, the tribulations, the challenges. It can come at I guess what I'm saying is it can come through a process, right? It can be so easy, but sometimes it takes a little bit of time, because you might need to grow, or there's things unfolding that you didn't know at the time. And I was reading a quote the other day, and it was saying that if you're going through a struggle, a breakthrough is just around the corner. Sometimes when you're going through a bit of a struggle, something bigger and better is coming your way. And if I was to take you back this time last year, so we're now in 2025, middle of the year 2025. The house started unfolding back in around May 2024, right? And in the previous kind of few months up to that time, if you go back to a couple of episodes ago, I talk about like how Tom got hit by a truck, how he went through a bit of a journey. Quite a few things happened with him, with a change of job, like kind of pushed him into his business that he'd been kind of developing on the side, had been ticking along nicely. And he basically kind of had a bit of we come back from a trip over to Bali with the kids, come home, and he went separate ways with what he was doing at the time. Then his father passed away. He got hit by a truck. Like it was literally one thing after another. And I look back and I said to him, I said, if you were still in that job, which was highly stressful, he was put on a lot of pressure, was doing like literally everything for that company, you would not have had the capacity to do the reno. You wouldn't have even looked at this house, because you would have gone, there's just too much work involved. And he's always wanted to do a renovation project. Like he's in the building industry. It's like electrical, aircon, whole heap of number of different things. But he has always loved the thought of doing a renovation project. And I said to him, you know, like out of that challenging period has opened up the doors. It's kind of like out with the old, out with what was going on at the time, has opened you up for this house, has opened you up for having the capacity to build our dream home and kind of build or renovate like what we wanted. If you had have still been in that job, you wouldn't have had the capacity on so many levels, the time, the mental capacity, the stress, like you wouldn't have done it. So I believe that this unfolded all at the right time. But when you're sitting in the thick of a challenge, it can feel overwhelming, right? It can feel like there's just so much going on at the moment that you can't see kind of through the cloud, through the dust, through the dark time. And so this has been actually really good timing for me to record this episode now, because I can look back and I can teach you things that we have kind of experienced along the way. And now that we've been living here and he's out on the jetty, he's crabbing, he's fishing, he's at a lot more peace. He's just, so much of him has found this inner soul peace at this house that I'm like, thank you. This has been seriously one of the best things that has ever happened to our family. However, at the time when we kind of first looked at this house, it was not like that. It was not like that. My daughter, if I'm really honest, and it's going to sound like she's a sport brat, but she's not. The first time we looked at this house, my daughter was like, it's a shithole. Like, what are you doing? And that's no different to any other teenager who would go, look what we've come from to look what we're going to, you know, like we had a beautiful house that we had built, a big house, you know, heaps of living room areas, media room, rumpus room, 5 bedrooms, office, like huge pool, beautiful big yard, and we built it. So we've lived in it since it was brand new. So that's all my kids have known since they were little, because they were like 2 and 6 months and 2.5 when we built that house. So that's kind of what they've known. So you look at any teenager who's going from that to this old house that we're working on renovating, they would be like, exactly like Riley was like, oh my God, what are we doing? I thought we'd move into a, you know, house. I know we wanted to go to the water, but I thought it would be like a big house, on the canals and fancy kind of big house, because we get conditioned, right? Like we get programmed that you need to upgrade, that every time you've got to get a bigger and better house, a bigger and better car, like more. It always has to be an upgrade. And when I spoke to, after being here for a little while, I spoke to Riley's boyfriend, Callum, and I said, what do you think? Like, he loves his fishing and getting out on the water. And he said, this is such an upgrade from your last house. And I'm like, see, Riley, it is. And she sees that now. But at the time when it first unfolded, she's like, what are you doing? Like, this has been the worst thing, the worst thing ever. How can you kind of move us to that house? Brock was a bit like, whatever. He's just so cruisy. But for him, we always had a goal to get to the water, and he has his own jet ski. He had when we lived in our old house, so he would tow it down to the boat rep. So for him, having his own jetty that he could just leave his skis there, jump on when he wanted, and just go and kind of ski around to his friends, he was like, this is fine. I actually don't care what kind of house I live in. I'm just happy for getting that access. So let me kind of take you back what happened, all right? So if I was to look around May last year, so all of this started unfolding when I went on a trip to Bali. It started beforehand, then I went to Bali, and then it continued when I got back. So when I went to Bali, a couple of things stood out for me. It's funny, you know, one of my girls that was with me, literally a couple of weeks after we come back from Bali, she rings me and she's like, oh my God, you'll never guess what. We're having a complete tree change. I'm decided we're selling our house. We're moving. We're going out into like a big acreage property. I need to take the kids away from the rat race. And I'm like, oh my God, you wouldn't believe it. We're having a scene change. This all happened within 2 weeks of coming back from Bali. And that can happen. Like, these retreats are powerful, and all of the experiences that I plan into my itinerary in the week serve a purpose, and they serve a deep spiritual purpose for connection, soul connection. And I have so many girls that come back from this retreat and big things have happened. They've changed jobs, quit jobs, opened up to a new relationship, attracted their dream relationship, and some are really incredible things. And they've really reevaluated their values, what they're doing, their lifestyle and have made some really powerful shifts. And the same thing happened for me when we were in Bali and we were doing a bike ride through the villages. And I love this day. Like, it takes you back into the raw, beautiful culture. And I remember seeing all of the compounds that kind of live on this property, like the family compound, and there'd be like the parents, the grandparents, the kids, and they would all look after each other and they would all be there together. And I come home and it was just beautiful community, right? Like, such a beautiful community. And I come home and I said to Tom, man, there's just so many things I feel like we get wrong, you know, like our parents get old, our grandparents get old, they get put into aged care. Like, you see how they really take care of each other. The kids feel like in these, you know, like we feel like we got to grow up and move out, get older and move out as teens or young adults. And I said, why do we have to all separate and go our separate ways? And it's inevitable. It's going to happen with my kids as well, because everyone likes their own independence. But I said, there's a part of me that when I really love the community, and I would really love a space where we could kind of, the kids had their own space, but we could still live together, right? So that kind of shifted for me a little bit in Bali. So before Bali, we had always had a goal to get to the waterfront. Like, we love being on the water. We love being out on our skis. There's nothing better than just skiing, feeling the wind in my hair, seeing the birds, connecting with nature, feeling the sun on my skin. I love that feeling of adventure, exploration, being out connected to nature. And I love swimming in salt water. So, and we all really enjoy it. And we always wanted to get to the waterfront. And I used to say to Tom, because my grandparents had a unit down at, right on the beachfront down at Currumbin, and I'd stay down there and I would wake up early and I'd go for a walk on the beach. Or we had a unit down there for a little while actually as well at Kira Surf. And I'd get up early, I'd go for a walk on the beach and I'd watch the sunrise, I'd sit, I'd read, I'd journal, and it was just the most beautiful start to the day. And I used to say to Tom, you know, like, I want to see the sunrise every morning. I want to wake up to the sunrise. And I used to joke around with Tom and I go, we need two houses, right? Like, this is I'm a big dreamer. And I'm like, we need two houses. We need like a house in the, in the Canal Estate. And then we need like a unit down the Gold Coast, because I don't actually want to live down the Gold Coast. All my family are kind of around me. Both of our families are close by. I don't want to go and take the kids away from their family and their friends and move down the Gold Coast, but I want that experience of the sunrise. However, we still want to have a house on the water that we could just have our stuff on the jetty and just go. Like, that was kind of a big dream for ours. So I was like, we need two houses, or a house and a unit. And it wasn't until I found this house, I was like, oh my God, it actually ticks both boxes. It didn't click on the first day that I looked at it. But then later I went, oh my goodness, we'd always had a dream of house, grass, sand. I didn't want just like rocks down to the canal. House, grass, sand, water. And for me, it was like this big, expansive sunrise view. That was always my dream. And when with this house kind of come about, so this has been my vision, right, for years. I would journal about it. I would always kind of write about it. And the Tom's dream as well is to get to the waterfront. Not so much for like the sunrise and stuff for him, but he just wanted we just want to retire on the water or get to the water as soon as we can. But we just kind of thought in our heads, when the kids finished school, right? Like, they were still this was last year, so Brock was in grade 12. So we kind of thought when the kids finish school and they get their license, it's easier for them to still connect with their friends, because they've got a beautiful group of friends. They've gone through primary school, high school together. And it was important for us to keep them in that community. They can ride their bikes to their friends, because I believe in the power of association. They had a great network and I wanted to kind of keep them connected to that network. So we said, once the kids finish school, we'll go and start looking and, progress to the waterfront. That's our next goal. Lo and behold, it unfolded quicker than I thought. What happened was I saw one of my clients' Instagrams one day. So she was kind of reasonably newish to the studio. She's a trainer downstairs at F45. And I saw on her Instagram her view, and I thought, where does she live? Like, that's amazing. So I jump on my mind body system, like stalk her address, and I thought, I'll just bank that street. I just remembered it, right? Not long after that, I was in class. One of my clients come in to me and she said, you'll never guess what we've done. We've sold our big acreage property and we've bought a little coastal shack along the water in this tiny little community. Like, oh, what have we done? But it just feels so right. And we just did it in the spur of a moment. And I said, where is it? What street is it on? She told me. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's the same one. So I'm Googling away, and because I believe if things happen a few times, I just kind of sit with it and I go, there might be something more to this. So I Google it, nothing available. Check out all the real estate, there's nothing available on this street. I say to Riley, so this is last year, Riley had just started working at the local real estate, right? So she'd started working at JMO, and I said to her, if anything comes up on this street, let me know. Just keep your ears open, let me know. And she goes, you wouldn't believe it. She goes, Morgan's about to list a property out there. The lady's going into aged care. And I'm like, interesting. So Tom was away. He had a cryo job in a state, and he was away. And I said, I'm just going to go look at it. So I went and had a look, and I walked through the house. To be honest, I didn't even pay that much attention to the house. I'm just like, show me the water. And I walked out on the jetty. It's a beautiful long jetty. And something just felt so right for me. Like an eagle flew overhead, and I'm like, this is paradise. This feels so good. Having a bit more of a look through the house, I ring Tom on the way home. I'm like, babe, this is so good. The location is amazing. You need to come and check it out. However, it doesn't have town water. It's on septic. Like, there is so much work. But when I walked in, I saw an area that we could have, which was literally bedroom. This is for me and Tom, right? Bedroom, kitchen, living area, a deck, and an office. The two little rooms upstairs. It's kind of like split level house, like 3 levels. It's small, like they're so tiny, but whatever. We could just knock the wall out, make it one big retreat. Downstairs, the older lady that lived here couldn't get up and down the stairs so much, so they've kind of set up an area for her downstairs, bedroom, bathroom, kitchenette, tiny little kind of lounge area, but self-sufficient. There was another separate area on the property, another separate brick dwelling. I'm like, it was shed, garage kind of thing. I'm like, there's 3 areas. I could have an area for one kid, basically an area for each kid, and an area for me and Tom. But then it starts going through your head. I'm on the phone to Tom going, this is a great location, but all the things that we would have to battle with. There's a lot of work. Like, there's so much work involved. This, and this. I don't know if it's right, but it feels, I don't know, something about it kind of kept drawing me to it, but I'm not sure. Ring him. Then I'm kind of talking, a bit of time went past between him, the real estate. The real estate said they had a contract on the place, come up really, really quickly, got a contract. And I'm like, okay, if it's not meant to be, that's fine, because I'm a big believer in, if it's meant to be, it will be. If not, the next best thing will come up, right? So I kind of just went, oh, well, it's not meant to be. We just kind of left it. I go to Bali, I come back, and actually, before I went to Bali, it's just happened before I went to Bali, Riley says to me, Mum, I've been looking up houses, and look at all these houses for sale on the Canal Estate. There's this really nice one I think that we should go and look at. So she sends me the link. I jump on, I have a look, because I'd had on my vision board, right? I had like coastal home, waterfront living. So White's kind of, really beautiful coastal home on the water. And she sends me the link. I look at the link. My first thought is, I can't afford that house. It was like well over the $3-something million. But I did not say that to her. I'm like, I went to, and I stopped myself and went, I can't say that. Like, if you say I can't afford it, that instantly puts a block up. That instantly sends a message out to the universe to go, I can't afford it. So it just kind of blocks things from unfolding for you. And then I went, no, you act as if you can afford it. You act as if, because this is how things come into alignment, right? So you act as if you can, because you don't know what's around the corner. I don't know what's around the corner. Things can happen. So I just trust. And I said to her, she goes, let's go and look. So she's very like pushy, let's just say pushy. She's just like kind of just go, mentality. She's like, I'm going to organize Morgan to come out and do an appraisal on our house. And I'm like, no, stop, like just stop. I don't want to waste his time, because I don't even know if we're going to, we're probably not going to sell until next year. She goes, nope, I've checked in his calendar. We can arrange an appraisal at this time. Let's just do it. And I'm like, Okay, fine. She goes, there's no pressure. But I thought to myself, I thought, well, at least I know then what I'm working with, right? So I can know what we can do and I'll just bank it. But I was really honest with him and said, I don't want to waste your time, but can we do an appraisal and we'll see, just see how we're situated and what comes up. So we did that. And I almost thought to myself, I don't want to waste the other real estate's time who is selling this $3.5 million house that we can't afford. That's what going through my head. Riley's like, Mum, we'll just go and look at it. You're not going to necessarily buy it, but you don't know if you don't look, right? And I sat with it and went, she's right. Let's go look, because for me, I know that the manifestation process, by you acting as if, by you taking action, it says to the universe, I'm open. And by you walking through, you kind of walk through and you get a feeling for like, hang on a sec, I am someone that can afford this house. I am someone that can live like this, instead of shutting it off immediately, because that's what most people do. I can't afford it. I'm not even going to look. You need to allow yourself to dream. You need to allow yourself to expand your perspective, and you need to open yourself up to receive the unknown, right? So we go and look at this house. It's beautiful. Absolutely, absolutely beautiful. But it was out of our price range. But that's okay. We walked through and I got a feel for, okay, this is taking me a step closer to living on the water. In my heart and soul, it's calling me. However, there was a couple of things that didn't sit quite right. I'm like, Riley, it's going to get built out. Yes, you can see a big expansive sunrise at the moment, but the next stage is going to build out. So what does she do? She goes and finds me more links and she sends us more properties. So she sends this other one through and it was like just over the 2 mil mark. And I said to her, all right, let's go look. So the whole four of us, we went and looked at this house. The kids are walking through. It was beautiful. On the canal estate, like prestigious estate, we're walking through and I said, it's lovely. Like it's really, really lovely. But for me, when I went and sat upstairs in the upstairs bedroom, I looked down and you can see the canal, right? And I'm like, it's just a strip of water. Like it's just, I want like big, expansive kind of sunrise. And I want across the canal, again, it was going to be built out in the next couple of stages. My fridge is saying random stuff. In the next couple of stages, there's going to be more properties along there and it is going to be built out. So my fridge has thrown me off. I don't know what it's saying, but oh my goodness, that's never happened before. Anyway, let's keep going. I'm looking at this house and I'm like, it is so beautiful, but all the bedrooms, I said to the kids, all the bedrooms are upstairs. So what that means is you're kind of in each other's face a little bit, right? So you're in each other's, which is fine. It's still beautiful. But in this older house that I looked at, I can see we can have our own areas. And as you guys get older, you can have your own space. So Tom and I decided, let's put an offer in on this house, because we found out that they were going through a marriage breakdown. As bad as that sounds, we said, okay, let's put like a really low ballpark figure of an offer in and just see what happens, okay? So we put in an offer. I went home and I went to bed. I felt sick. I'm like, even if they accepted the offer, I don't want that house. As beautiful as it is still, it doesn't have the expansive sunrise view. It doesn't have, there's elements of it that I actually were not part of my dream. So I ended up ringing the real estate and I said, look, it's not quite right. Pulled the offer out. And I said to Tom, then I went to Bali, right? I come back and I said, I was having a chat with Tom. And because Riley's like, okay, like we need to look at some more houses. She's like keen to kind of move into this canal estate, and she's in real estate, so she's excited. Like she's looking up all different properties and things. And I said to Tom and I were chatting, and he goes, I wish we had got that older house. And Riley happened to say the contract fell through, and I'm like, you're kidding? So I rung him back up, rang our boss and said, can we come out and look? And I want to show Tom. So anyway, so we've come out, had a look at the property, showed Tom through, and Tom's got excited because he can see the potential. We can both see the potential in this house. Two things that happened that day. I went down to the jetty. We was kind of standing on the jetty more eagles flew overhead. And for me, they're a really big sign. Like for me, the eagles are like a really powerful universal sign of I'm being guided, I'm being protected. This is aligning for me. And when we were leaving, we're out the front and I was talking to Morgan out the front, and a white feather floated down beside me. And I literally said, I've seen an eagle and a white feather. We need to put an offer in on this house. Like this is it. Riley, since afterwards she said to me, I was telling Riley this, like what I said. She's like, did you say that to my boss? Oh my God, that's so embarrassing. And I'm like, no, seriously, like that's how I made my decision. I got those signs from the universe, signs from my angels, and I went, okay, we can make this work. Like let's make this work. And so Tom was excited. He could see the potential. He's always wanted to do a renovation project. Like he loves that kind of thing. So I started thinking about it, and that's when it dawned on me. I used to say to Tom, like we need a house on the canal. We need a house, like a unit down the Gold Coast where I can watch the sunrise. And then it all of a sudden kind of dawned on me, hang on a sec. This house has both. Like it's up near my family, so I don't have to move away. It has the access on the jetty to get our toys straight out on the water. I see the sunrise, like we can see the sunrise as immediately as I kind of walk off my deck. And then I started thinking about it. I went, Tom's always wanted a reno project, because I said to him, like around kind of within that 6 months earlier, I said to him, what would you do? Like if time and money wasn't an option, what would you actually want to do for work? And he said, I want to renovate houses. I'd love to renovate, flip houses, and just kind of be in property. So I sat with that and I'm thinking, hang on a sec, Tom wanted to do a reno project. Maybe this is actually going to be quite good after all. Anyway, we put an offer in on the house. We literally just said, we'll give you what you want, right? We put an offer in, and it was like, they didn't accept it straight away because it was subject to the sale of our house. So we knew that we could sell our house straight away. It was in a really, really great estate. Houses were going quickly in there. We had one of the bigger blocks in the estate. So we knew that we could sell it quickly. So they've kind of gone back to the sellers and gone, look, they'll sell their house quickly, like there's no issues there, and they still turned it down and said no, because it's subject to sale. Like we want somebody kind of ready to go straight away, because it could take ages to sell their house. So here I am feeling defeated, because literally all we had to do was swap houses. We owned our house outright. So we could just sell our house and just pump the money straight into this house and it would be fine. Then yes, we'd have to kind of access a bit more funds to renovate, things like that. But because like there was we couldn't actually go and borrow like the $1.3 million straight away from the bank to secure this house, because like our businesses were kind of reasonably new. Like there were a few different things that, even though our equity was huge, serviceability, like with the banks and things like that, they said no, like, well, we didn't even think that they would let us. We didn't even kind of really go down that path. We had a quick chat with our friend, the bank manager, and like, he's like, just sell your house and get it done straight away and turn it over. So I said to Tom, okay, that's fine. If it's meant to be, it will be ours. We've just got to trust the process. So the sellers knew this is the money. We'll give you exactly what you want for it. In the meantime, they're running open homes. Every weekend they're running open homes. So I'm kind of sitting with the whole like praying it doesn't get snapped up in an open home. And in the process, how can we need to get our house on the market. We need to sell our house ASAP. But there was a few things that we had to fix up. We'd had our house for 17 years, still beautiful condition, but needed a bit of freshen up. And there were some things in the kitchen cupboards that there was like that vinyl wrap, and it was peeling. So we needed to get that replaced before they could photograph the house, because you could just see that it was just a little bit, wasn't like perfect, right? So I started sitting with that, and I said to the real estate, I'm like, do you have anyone that we could just get through and just see the house as is? Do you have anyone that would be interested in this property who wants to kind of move in this area? And he said, I've actually got a lady who already lives in the estate, and she wants a bigger house and she wants a bigger property. And I know she likes it down where you are, because we're kind of like down near the oval, bit more open, beautiful space down where we were. I said, well, ring her, just ring her anyway. And he's like, but you'll lose more money. Like if it's not completely fully ready to go, they will talk you down on price because there's a few repairs that need to be done in the kitchen and everything. I'm like, I don't care. She's already, because he rung her and she's like, is it on this? It's on this street. She's like, I always like that street. Is it this house number? And it was our exact house number. She's like, she goes, I always look at that house. I said, get her through the door. She's already energetically attached to our house. Get her in. I don't care if the kitchen's not done. It's fine. So anyway, he kind of got her in to have a look at the house. And they loved it. They're like, yep, it's what we've been after. So, but the downside is that, yeah, like we had a few more things we had to fix up in the house. So the price just was, maybe like 20,000 less than what we wanted. And he said that would happen, which was true. He said, if you go to market, you will get so much interest in your home and I could really get the price up for you. And we sat with that and I said, I don't care if we wait for that, it could cost us getting this house. And I know with the property that we're buying, it's a very rare. There's only like along the waterfront here, there's only like 20 something properties. And since I found out afterwards, you literally only get one of these houses if somebody, it sounds really bad to say, but if somebody passes away or goes into care or something like that, that's when these properties seem to come up. So I'm like, I don't care. Like 10 or 20 grand is nothing for the sake of giving us access, getting an off-market fast sale, get it through. That's what we might need to do. And I remember going for a walk and I remember sitting with all of this was going through my mind. I went for a walk and I would always talk to my grandfather, Ulpa, who's passed away. And I remember on my walk saying to him, what should we do? It's because I started going through the highs and lows, right? When you make a decision, you go with the, oh, this is amazing. Then you sit with the doubt, like you get excitement, doubt, kind of the whole way. And I remember going for a walk and I asked my Ulpa, what should we do? Immediately, I got a flash come through my mind of my childhood home, a 10-acre property not far from here, beautiful 10-acre property. And all of a sudden it flashed in my mind a vision of what it was like. Look, I was a young child, but I remember photos of what it was like when my parents first bought it. And then I got a vision of what they turned it into, their years of work and how it became this beautiful big 10-acre property with their dream business, like everything. They set it up amazing. They did renos on the house. We had tennis court. They put a pool in, and it was older when they got it. It was an old house, but they really added their flair and made it their own. It was beautiful. Then I got another flash come in of what they paid for it, which was like 120 grand, something ridiculously low. And then the flash of what they sold it for. And I'm like that exponential growth. And I'm like, thank you, Ulpa. That's what I needed. That flash reminded me, it kind of made me feel like this is what this house looks like right now, but I've got a vision and Tom's got a vision of what we can create it into. This is what we're buying it for right now, but I'm getting this intuition from my grandfather that you're going to get exponential growth on this property because it's rare. And like when my parents bought that property, there was nothing around. And my grandfather said, get it. Like it is halfway between Brisbane and the Gold Coast. It's going to boom. There was no highway. It was like the old service road was the highway. You'd drive out. You'd have to look left and right to cross the highway to get to the north to go Brisbane. And all of this was flashing through my mind. So I'm like, okay, thank you, Ulpa. That's exactly what I needed. Let's just do it. Let's just make it happen. And all of this is unfolding like within weeks of like coming back from Bali, kind of very, very quickly. Our house for 17 years, we've just kind of decided, okay, like let's just pack up and go. Like we weren't even looking, but it all started to align. And this house presented when we weren't quite ready. I'm getting signs. I'm starting to see what's coming through with my signs, with the visions, with everything. I'm like, fine, let's just go for it. So this lady come through, they got their family through, it all seemed like they loved it. And then come the hard part. Then so in this process, right, in these few weeks around this time, what I had to do, some of the work that I did in the process, right, I had to let go of attachment to our house. So I would walk around our house and I would sage, I would sit outside on my patio and I would in my Zen zone and I would do a lot of releasing work. I was like, I would walk around the house, I would look, and like I'd look at our pool, and our kids jumped off the wall into the pool. I would cry. I would think about all the memories that we had as a young family moving in there with our two young kids. I would kind of look at my deck. I'm sitting out there visualizing how it was filled with family. Every birthday, all the time we had family around. And here I am like bawling my eyes out going, I need to let go of attachment to this house, right? So I'm letting go. I'm thanking. I'm walking around. And as I'm saging away, I'm like, thank you for the most a beautiful experience for that time in our life in this house. Thank you for the memories of my kids. Thank you for all the kids' friends that were coming over and just seeing them play with their friends. Thank you. I'm so grateful for everything that's happened in this home. And I just sat with the feeling of love and energy, love and gratitude. But I started saying, it's time for me to let go of attachment. It's time for me to release this home. It's time for me to open ourselves up to a new opportunity. It's time for me to open ourselves up to this next stage of our life. Our kids are older now. It's served its purpose. So I was releasing, like cutting cords with the house and letting it go. So that was a really big emotional part. In the process, I am trusting. I'm holding the faith because this went on for a couple of weeks, right? So in these few weeks, I dove deeper into my spiritual practice than ever before. Every morning I was out in meditation. I'm literally praying to God, universe, source. If this new house is what is meant to be for us, hold it for us. Because while we were waiting for all this to go on, they still hadn't quite accepted our offer yet until we got a contract on our house. That was the moment they accepted it. But this whole process, I'm watching open homes. I'm like finding out, like I'm ringing all the time. How'd the open home go? And there was somebody else that put an offer in, but they lowballed. And so that didn't get accepted. So every time like something, I knew there was an open home, I'm like feeling sick in the stomach of, oh my God, I hope no one else gets it. So you kind of get into this feeling of, I don't want to miss out. I don't want to let it go. I had to recognize that and flip it and go, no, I choose trust. I choose that if this is meant for us, I trust in the process. I trust in the unfolding. The universe will deliver it for me and my family if it's the right thing to go. So I had to let go of attachment. And that was the hardest thing because I was freaking out. I was scared we were going to miss out. I knew I started to get really falling in love with this place because we went back a couple of times. We come and met with our builder friend and he had a look through and he's like, they don't make houses like this anymore. Yeah, it's old, but the bones to work with this house are amazing. So we'd been through, and every time I come back, I felt more and more like this is where I'm meant to be. I'm holding the faith, trusting the process. We get a contract on our house and then they finally accepted our offer. And I'm like, oh, thank goodness. It was like such a sick feeling in that process, but I just had to trust. I had to hold the faith. So all that was going on. When we finally kind of moved into this house, we knew that the floors up here were amazing. Like the floors were, you know, that kind of old school wood. So they're not like conditioned, like, you know, like floors these days where they kind of get, you know, like your artificial floors where it's all beautiful and matched. It had like this gorgeous kind of different elements to the color throughout these timber floors. So we got all the floors redone. So we moved in downstairs, right? So we've kind of moved in the downstairs area. Riley didn't even live with us at the beginning for the first couple of weeks because we were limited with space. We couldn't even come upstairs. So we've like within the first weekend of moving in, we gutted the whole upstairs kitchen. Like Tom doesn't muck around. The kitchen we got a big skip from our friend who has a skip in business and we're like dumping everything in the front yard. We got rid of the carpet. We got rid of the kitchen. We're knocking down walls. Like we're just getting straight into it. And we literally, Tom and I lived downstairs for the first kind of few weeks because we had to get the floors restored. It was like we were camping with this tiny, like with a little kitchen down there, camp tables set up, tubs for our pantry. And it was just a chaotic mess when we first moved in. The day we actually left home, I'll never forget that day. It will sit with me forever. We left our home. Everyone was in tears. Like Riley was in tears. Everyone was in tears. And when we had so much family come and help us move, it was almost like as we're driving into this new estate, I was kind of sitting back driving in. It was like a funeral procession. I kid you not. There were like 10 cars in a row of people kind of driving out through the cane fields into this estate. And it was this real feeling, it was a weird feeling, hey, of like something that you've known for such a long time that was gone, something that was familiar. Your kids aren't sure if they love it yet. So you're like, have we made the right decision? All these things are going through your head. Then we move in, we like gutted the place, we kind of camped out downstairs. The shed area, like the garage shed, there was just stuff everywhere. Brock was sleeping in there. They didn't carry his friends over for a period and on the school holidays, and they just had their Xbox set up amongst all these boxes and a mattress. They were fine. But there were moments I thought to myself, what have we done? Have we made the right decision? I've gone from this beautiful home of comforts and we're living in chaos. We're literally living in chaos for a couple of months. We then got upstairs floors done. We've moved upstairs. We're starting the renovation process. We didn't have a kitchen for months. So we still were using the little camp kitchen, kind of the small kitchenette area downstairs. And we were, the one thing that Riley said that she would love in a new home is a walk-in robe. So we're like, okay, fine. We'll put, we kind of set it up for her. It was a big room. We've set it up so she's got her walk-in robe. Initially, we put the wall up and then we've kind of moved Brock out of the shed and he was living in her robe. He had his mattress and a box for his TV because she had this big area. We had no robe yet. It was literally just an empty space with a wall. So these guys are having like a camp out together downstairs. We had period. We're all living on mattresses. Riley comes home with a new puppy and I'm like, she asked us and we said no. And she, my daughter, I have this attitude and this kind of attitude of expectancy. Like I always say to the kids, like I always get what I want, like not in an arrogant way, but I have this expectancy. It's rubbed off on my kids. Like she's exactly the same. She brings home Harlow, this little puppy, and we're like, what the fuck have you done? Are you serious? We've got no fence. We're in the middle of a renovation. And we were freaking out with this little puppy. So we've got like, everyone's kind of camping out on mattresses, this new puppy, Brock's in the wardrobe. And part of me is like, what are we doing? We were so comfortable. Everything was easy. We've gone into chaos. We've gone into disruption. Our whole life has been thrown into turmoil. And I look back on that time but it was kind of winter. We'd have our fire out in the front yard by the water and we just sit there and go, we just feel at peace amongst the chaos. I couldn't explain it anything other than that. We just felt so at peace amongst the chaos. And that's how we kind of transitioned into this home in the beginning. So many renovations to do. Like survey, we've ripped down we've extended the deck. We had no kitchen for ages. Funny story about the kitchen actually. When we had to fix up in our old, I've got a reason why I want to tell you this. In our old house, we had to fix up like all of the paneling on the kitchen cupboards because they were peeling a little bit. Tom found a place called like flat packs or something, and where you could, instead of putting in whole new cabinetry, you could just basically like resurface the front of the cupboards. He went and did that himself. He's handy. He went and did all that himself. When we move into this place, because we kind of looked at them for getting a quote for the kitchen, Tom's handy. He loves doing things. We actually thought, like Tom's like, we can do this ourselves because we had help from a builder. This builder, another funny story, came through a brand new client at the studio. They just moved from interstate. He's a builder getting his business set up. I'm like, oh my gosh, we need help. We need a builder. And he came along and we're one of his first big jobs. And now I refer him so much work. He was amazing. Really, really great to work with Tom. Like he was incredible. Then with the kitchen, I had this gut feeling I should ring my friend Todd from Urban Kitchens, but part of me felt a bit funny doing that because one of my other clients had a kitchen company and I'm like, oh, I don't really want to go against, I feel like I'm betraying her, but something kept sitting with me like, ring Todd. So I ring him and I had no intention of actually getting his company because I knew we wanted to do the kitchen ourselves, right? So I ring him and I say, look, I'll be really honest with you. We're doing a reno. Tom wants to do the kitchen ourselves. Can I pay, someone in your company or yourself to come out and just help us with the design element of this kitchen? I know what I want to do, but I just need some help tweaking a few things. He goes, do you know I've got a flat pack business? As part of my business, I've got a flat pack arm to the business. I said, no, like I had no idea. So we were able to go through his flat packs part of the business. So that little gut feeling that kept coming up to me, call Todd, call Todd, call Todd. But then I kind of had this feeling of, oh, I don't want to go against somebody else I know. It turned out for the best because I didn't even know that he had this. We could literally do the kitchen flat pack and Tom and the builder could install it. So we've done that. I love renovating and sometimes, but I had the idea that I wanted in our last house. I used to say to Tom, we could really renovate it. We could put in new timber floors. We had tiles. I want to make it like all nice and coastal and white, but something kept stopping me from doing it. And I realized that it was because I needed to do it in this house. So we're kind of bringing everything together that we want in this house, like the timber floors, the white coastal, and the gold touches, like is kind of what I wanted to do. And so we kind of bring it together in this house. And I've always had a dream of having like bifold doors. I want to open up the house and I want to feel like the outdoors flow into the indoors, because we've done lots of travel. I've been in many villas and beautiful parts of the world. And I would say to Tom, we would talk about, we'd be happy with a smaller coastal kind of a home where we could just have the indoors spill out to the outside. So that's what we've sort of started doing with this house. Like we've been doing all these amazing renovations, making it have that kind of coastal feel and having the indoors spill to the outdoors. Like we've put in this, gas strut window and servery so we can sit up there and eat and look over the water. Like there's been so many amazing elements. But there's so much to do. Like there's so much work to do. There have been times where we've had challenges. Things have cost more than what we thought that they were going to cost. So we've decided, we're not going anywhere. We got this for the location. It doesn't matter if it takes us a little bit of time, because we kind of get conditioned. We have to have everything now. We have to have this instant gratification. Everything's got to be perfect straight away. It doesn't. Like you can do things in stages. So if you've got the vision, hold the vision and things will come together the way that you want them to come together. It might take a little bit of time, but that's okay. You learn in the process. The best thing for our family has been I said to Tom at the beginning when the kids were like, oh, I don't know. Riley was a bit like, oh, it's a bit of a shithole. I said to her, you're just starting out in real estate. This is going to be the best thing for you because it's going to show you what something can be like now when you first walk in to what you can create it to have the vision. It's taught the kids to have the vision. Brock's doing his apprenticeship. He's been here. Some of his mates are doing apprenticeships in like carpentry. They're all doing like carpentry, electrical, air conditioning. They've been in here just doing like some, just some sort of small safe things, but they've all been doing hands-on, like they kind of went to town a bit in Brock's man cave. We let them do a bit themselves. We let them pick their own colors. We've let them be involved in the process. And it's been a really great bonding experience too for Tom and Brock to work together, for him to learn a lot from his dad, for the kids to see this process of delayed gratification. It doesn't have to, we live in such an instant gratification society. So it's taught them to have a vision. It's taught them to hold the faith. It's taught them to see what you can create when you all work together as a team. It's taught them, it's really brought our family together. When we first moved in this area I'm sitting right now, we were on beanbags. We were literally on beanbags, eating our dinner, some nights getting takeaway because we'd been working so hard on the reno, getting fish and chips in here, sitting on beanbags and blankets because it was in the middle of winter. And I look back and I go, these are going to be they're some of the fondest memories of all of our family. It brought the family unit closer together because when everyone's kind of so spread out in such a big house, everyone's doing their own thing. Yes, they've got their own space, but we've also had the intimacy of bringing the family together. We set up the fire down by the water and we have a fire. We've had friends over all the time, families coming over more. We had Christmas here, and people are just walking in going, they can see the vision that we see. And one of my big goals was I said to Tom, I'm sick of being so busy. I just want to have more family connection and more time with family. And we're doing that, like my niece and nephew are coming over. The kids are playing on the beach and on the water. Like I said, we don't even need to go to Paradise Point anymore and have it, we've actually got that right here where the dogs can go swimming. And it's not until we actually started living here that I realized that this is where my soul was meant to be. I'd always had a dream of, I want somewhere where I can I love creating. I've got programs I want to create. Like, I love being creative. I love writing. I'm very, very deep. And I always dreamt of I've always been drawn to the water, always go near a water. Wherever I can, we holiday near water, we go near water, we have picnics near water, we always go to the water. And I feel most creative by the water. And I would say to my husband, I said, I feel like I can be, this has been one of my dreams where I can go outside and I can create and I can work that kind of part of my business by having that peace and quiet out by the water where I can tap into my intuition, I can tap into my creativity. And that's been a big dream of ours, well, mine more so. And now I feel like we're living it. But I didn't think this existed. I thought that we would end up on a canal in the estate. However, there was something in me. I said to Tom, I don't want to look into people's backyards. As beautiful as it is, as beautiful as the houses are, I don't want to be looking into another house. I just feel I need space. I want the expansive space. And one of our friends, our builder friend, who they were over on the weekend, and he has got a couple of houses in this beautiful big estate, and he comes out and he's like, this is heaven in here. Like, I would give them all up, get rid of all the ego attachment to there and come out here. You're going to wake up some mornings, I might be camping out on your front lawn, he said, because it just feels different. It has that community feel. And I felt that since being here. One of my beautiful neighbors, she brings me over banana bread, or she's bringing me over, like, my favorite flowers are lilies. The other ones, like, they're just so beautiful. Anytime you need a hand with anything, it has just got that really beautiful community vibe. And I didn't realize how much I valued that until we kind of moved in here. And I've really felt it's like that small kind of community vibe. And that's how I grew up. Like, I grew up on acreage. I grew up where everyone kind of knew their neighbors, and that real community kind of feel. And that's what I feel like we have here. I drive out through the cane fields, and the moment, it's almost like, I said to my husband, I said, I've got to be careful I don't become a recluse or a hermit out here, because it is literally so peaceful and I love it. I wake up every morning and I go out and I watch the sunrise. If I'm not in the studio, I'm out there watching the sunrise, doing my spiritual practices out there. And it feels like my soul feels at home. I drive out through the cane fields, and the moment I kind of get out of the rat race, out to the property, out to nature, it's like, I just feel so at peace, and I just feel so homely. But if you had a looked on the surface level, people say, oh, it's smaller. Oh, it's older. There's a lot of work to do. Where's the local coffee shop? There's no coffee shops or cafes nearby. I don't care. We have this kind of pressure from society. We feel we have to keep up, fit in, go to the next bigger and better things. An upgrade means bigger. An upgrade means better. I'm here to tell you, an upgrade is where your soul feels at home. It doesn't matter what anybody else does. It doesn't matter what anybody else has. It doesn't matter what anybody else tells you should do. What's right for you is what feels in alignment for your soul. And for us at this time in our life, I said to Tom, I don't need as much stuff. I don't need a huge house anymore. We've got what we need. And this is just perfect. We're making it our own. We're putting our own unique touches on it, but my soul feels at home like it's never felt before. And it's just a different stage in our life that we're going through. So I guess I want to leave you with a couple of little tips, right, along the way for this manifestation process of how this is aligned for us. Is hold the vision. I always had in my heart this vision of house, grass, sand, water, expansive sunrise view. And that is literally what I've got. I sit out here in the mornings in peace, sipping my raw cacao, seeing so much expansiveness. And I just feel this just feels so good. It feels so aligned. Let go of the timeline. Let go of the how. Let go of the how's it going to unfold? When's it going to unfold? And I know with this goal of ours, we never had a strict timeline, like a strict deadline, a strict date on this. We just knew That's where we were going to go up. That's where we were going to end up, or where we were going to go. And I knew it without a doubt we would live on the water one day. There was no hesitation in my mind. There was never, how am I going to afford it? How am I going to make it work? When's this going to happen? I just held the vision. I would journal the vision. I would write about it, but I never got stuck in the how. And I never got stuck in the when's this going to happen? I never come from that place of desperation. I just held the vision and like, poof, sent it off to the universe. And I just trust it'll happen when it's meant to happen. So hold the vision and let go of the how, let go of the timeline, and just trust that it will happen for you at some time. That's what you need to do. I surrendered to the process. It was bloody hard. Like all those things that I was telling you about, like we had to wait until they didn't accept our offer straight away. I had to just surrender and go, if it's meant to be, it will be. Like I worked on myself more than I'd ever worked on myself before. All my spiritual rituals, my saging, my journaling, my releasing, my letting go of attachment to the house that we were in. I just had to trust to go, if it's meant to be ours, it will be ours. If not, that's okay. Something better will come along in the right time. And I literally just had to let go of the surrender and let go of the attachment. A couple of other things we did. I acted as if, like when we went through those other houses, I walked in and I acted as if, like, we are someone who can afford that house. We are someone who can we can live on the waterfront. The moment you say to yourself, I can't afford it, or that will never happen to me, you instantly block it. And you get what you believe. You get the energy of what you believe is going to be true. And I believed that we would live on the waterfront one day. And I had to act as if I was somebody who would live on the waterfront. So start doing the things, test drive the car, walk through the house, like start visioning, put it all on your vision board. I had this on my vision board, not this particular house, but I had elements of what I wanted, which was the sunrise view, the jetty, the jet skis, the white coastal finishings. I pulled pictures of houses that had this white kind of coastal finishing, and I had them plastered all over my vision board. It's not always going to be easy. Sometimes there could be challenges along the way, but understand that sometimes a challenge can be, a struggle can be a sign of this is pushing you where you need to go, but you might not see it at the time. So I don't want you to kind of think that it always has to be like, this is what I want. And it appears in elements of it is true. What I wanted, house, grass, sand, water. Yes, it appeared. I wasn't looking. I actually was not looking at that particular time. It just come from me following the breadcrumbs. And if I go back to that very first breadcrumb, it was literally seeing an Instagram post of one of my clients and thinking, where does she live? Something in me said, go look up her address. Jump on Mind, Body, and How to Look. If I didn't look at her address, if I kind of didn't look or didn't earmark that street, this wouldn't have unfolded for us. So learn to follow the breadcrumbs along the way. If you get an intuitive hunch, if you get a nudge to do something, do it and follow it. Our whole family was involved in this process. I had the initial, that thing I just told you about, kind of seeing it on Instagram, looking it up in Mind Body. Then Riley kind of come into the picture where she was like, actually, there is a house coming up on this street. Tom come into the picture when he was like, we should have got that house after we thought, okay, there's a contract on it. It's all gone. He was the one that said we should have got that house. Riley pipes up again and says, the contract fell through. So we're like, right, let's go look. So if I look back, all these little breadcrumbs along the way, we followed those intuitive nudges. We acted as if. We kind of all bounced off each other. And I worked on me. I worked on myself more than ever before by sitting with my spiritual practices, by trusting in my guidance, trusting in my signs, the signs of the eagle, the signs of the feather, the signs that kind of push me in this direction. All of this unfolded from me going with my signs, my gut feeling, my intuition, and actually acting. You can have the signs, you can have the synchronicities, you can have the messages, the wisdom come through, but you've got to act. You've got to take the aligned action. You have to take aligned action. And I asked universe, spirit, God, source, whatever you want to call it, I asked and I prayed and I was like, please, if this is meant to be for us, let it be for us. Hold it for us. And I just prayed and prayed and prayed that if it's meant to be, it will be. I asked my Alpa, which again, whether you want to call it your grandfather, God, source, spirit, universe, I asked, give me signs, give me synchronicities, give me wisdom. And I would get visions, flashes come through. So it was a whole lot of all of the energetics along the way for this house to unfold. It was not easy the whole time. There were definitely challenges. There was definitely a process of having to hold the faith. And if I can give you any last bit of wisdom, hold on to your vision, hold the faith, trust that it will align for you, have expectancy of what you want, but also be open to the plan. So sometimes things might unfold in a different way. If I had have thought where we would end up in the water, it would be in the canals. Still beautiful, still lovely, but here we're out on the broad water, this expansive, open view. It is better than I expected. But yes, initially I didn't think that. Initially I thought there's so much work. This house is not what I imagined, but we're creating it what we imagined. And you know what? We're also realizing that I've gone on this journey from ego to soul where I don't actually need as much stuff. I don't need the big fancy house. This is perfect. My soul feels at home. My husband is happy. Our kids are happy. We had a chat with them the other day and we were talking about like the alternative here or where we thought we might end up. And we were chatting with them about it. And my son said, it's so much better here. Like, it is so much better here. And for me, I went, oh, thank goodness, because I questioned, what am I doing with my kids, with my family? Are they going to be okay with that? And we had our friends over on the weekend. We had a fire. We were out by the fire. Let me leave you with this. And my friend, we often talk about some deep stuff. And he said, where do you see yourself in 10 years' time? And I said, right here. We'd all kind of gone around, answered a few things. I was one of the last ones. And I said, right here. He said, that's the best answer I've heard all night. That's when you know that you're fulfilled. And I said, yep, you're absolutely right. So I hope that you have taken something out of that. I hope that it's helped you understand a little bit more of the manifestation process. And yeah, I will love you and leave you, my friends. I have so much more wisdom to share with you, so many more episodes to come. Have the most beautiful day, and I will chat with you soon, angels. Bye.